In this series of short videos, we are looking at how we can best use Gateway 2nd edition to make the most of our remote teaching and learning environment and optimize students' opportunities to interact and communicate with their peers in the live online classroom. First, I'm going to talk about teaching speaking in general before exploring how to set up your lessons to enhance students' speaking opportunities during, but also before or after our live online teaching. When we look through a unit in Gateway, you can see that many lessons begin with some kind of lead-in activity that allows learners to talk about their ideas on the topic with a partner. For example, before the reading text, learners are asked about their own opinion on the topic. And here, on the Gateway Life Skills page, they are asked questions that allow them to personalize the topic. These pre-reading or pre-listening activities are aimed at developing student speaking as a skill. In other words, we ask learners to speak to get their message across without worrying too much about using specific language items or using accurate grammar and/or vocabulary. Fluency speaking also often takes place at the end of a reading or listening lesson, when learners are asked to respond to the text through questions such as, "What about you? What do you think about this? What's your opinion?" As you can see, in the vocabulary and grammar lessons, there are also speaking activities provided. These activities, however, are more aimed at providing learners with an opportunity to practice accurate use of a particular grammar or vocabulary point. Instead of focusing on fluency speaking, these activities provide controlled or less controlled oral practice of the new language. If you have breakout rooms available, oral practice activities can be run like in the face-to-face classroom. Pair or group your learners and send them off to the breakout room to practice the new language together. Make sure you pop into the breakout rooms to monitor their language use and get some ideas for feedback and error correction. Once learners are back in the main room, ask them to report on what they discussed before giving your feedback. The digital environment can impact group dynamics. Some students do not feel connected to their peers, and as a result, they might not feel confident to talk much in English. So even though these pre- and post-reading or listening fluency activities seem very short, getting students talking does not only develop their speaking fluency, it also is an excellent way for learners to become more connected to their peers and become more comfortable with each other in the online learning context. A way to include more speaking opportunities is to insert an opportunity for learners to check their answers together after completing reading or listening tasks. This not only builds confidence, so they're willing to speak in the main room when you try to elicit the answers, but it will also give your students a chance to use English together to explain misunderstandings and ask for clarifications. You can also include peer and group work in the preparation for writing stage, when learners are brainstorming the content and organization of their writing. Why not get them to do this in pairs or small groups in the breakout room? This lead-in activity, learners might be able to prepare before they come to the live lesson, so you do not need to give them thinking time in the live lesson. Once they have spoken in breakout rooms, ask them to report back. This gives learners an incentive to stay on task whilst being in the breakout rooms. Do leave some wait time before you prompt them to answer, so that learners have time to receive the question across the distance, as there's often a delay, and they might need some time to reformulate their answer. If breakout rooms aren't available in your context, you could use a chain speaking activity to give your learners some control by asking one of them to ask the first question whilst they nominate the next person to answer that question. That learner then answers and asks another learner a question and nominates the next person, and so on. Make sure all your learners are involved here. The listening task is a model for the speaking we want our learners to do later on in the lesson. But if you're short of time online, you could decide to focus only on the second listening task, because this is where the useful language needed in preparation for the speaking task is highlighted. Next, give your learners some silent planning time in task 4 before moving them into pairs in the breakout rooms. Even a minute of thinking time can help them speak with less pauses and become more fluent. To develop their speaking to the next level, we also need to give them feedback. So monitor the different pairs in the breakout rooms. Listen in and note down if you think there are better ways to say what they're trying to say. Praise what they did well in the main room and address some common issues sensitively before they attempt the second speaking task. Because your learners might not pick up on all your feedback, it is a good idea to share your whiteboard or a Google document with your feedback and give learners access to this before they start the next speaking task. To be successful in the last speaking task, learners need time to prepare. They need to talk through exercise 5 and maybe even take notes to plan their role play. If you feel there is not enough time to do this in the live online lesson, you can get students to complete this task independently outside the classroom. In the Practice Made Perfect section, learners build on their previous speaking performance. This final practice activity, you could ask learners to record. Flipgrid, for example, is a useful tool, but even something simple like Vocaroo allows learners to send files back and forward via email to complete their role play. Ideally, learners upload the sound bites for you and the other students to listen to. The advantage of uploading recordings is that you can listen to their speaking offline and provide more personalized feedback. But also other learners could learn from successful recordings if they're available to the class. So, we might need to stage things more carefully and pace things a little bit more slowly when teaching speaking online. So be realistic about what you can do in the time you have and think about what speaking tasks students could do or prepare independently before or after the lesson. The key to success here is that your instructions are clear before you send them off, either to the breakout room or to complete the task independently. Check that they understand exactly what they need to do and how to go about it, so they do not have to waste time trying to work out what they are supposed to be doing and end up not doing the speaking task you want them to do.